From downtown Bakersfield, 23 ABC News at 5 starts now.
Good evening. We begin tonight with breaking news out of the Golden Hills area near Tehachapi. Kern County Sheriff's deputies are investigating a homicide at a location on Quail Springs Road near Strawflower Road. There's very limited information at this time. We're still trying to determine what the call out was initially for and what investigators believe happened up to this point. We do have a crew on the way, and we will have updates live right here on the air and of course online at turnto23.com as we receive them. We want to turn now to the latest on the conflict with Iran. Tensions with Iran climaxed Wednesday when Iran launched missile strikes against bases housing U.S. forces in Iraq. Today, in his first public remarks since those attacks, President Donald Trump says the U.S. hopes for peace. President Trump said Iran's missile strike Wednesday took no American lives and caused only minimal damage. Flanked by top military and cabinet officials, President Donald Trump indicated the U.S. will try to calm tensions with Iran while also announcing new actions against the nation.
The United States will immediately impose additional punishing economic sanctions on the Iranian regime. These powerful sanctions will remain until Iran changes its behavior.
His remarks shifted themes several times. The president spoke of Iran's enormous potential, praised America's oil and gas production, and criticized the Obama administration for the Iranian nuclear agreement. And as tensions rose between the U.S. and Iran this week, many local elected leaders spoke up about their opinions on the matter. 23 ABC's Austin Westfall has a recap of what they've said. Austin?
Kern County helps elect 4 people total who help make decisions in Washington, D.C., and all 4 have spoken out on this matter. 2 are Democrats, and they're in the Senate. That's Kamala Harris and Dianne Feinstein. The others are Republicans in the House of Representatives. That's T.J. Cox and GOP leader Kevin McCarthy. Unsurprisingly, Democrats and Republicans have very different takes on the conflict.
The president made it very clear, if you would kill an American, we will respond directly, and we did.
GOP leader Kevin McCarthy today showing his support for the way the White House handled recent escalations in conflict between the U.S. and Iran. Both McCarthy and the president speaking at different press conferences today, describing the decades-old history between the countries.
Nations have tolerated Iran's destructive and destabilizing behavior in the Middle East and beyond.
From shooting down a drone, from attacking tankers, from killing a U.S. citizen, to attacking our embassy.
Tensions peaked this week after President Trump approved an airstrike at Baghdad International Airport that killed top Iranian general Qasem Soleimani. Democratic U.S. Senators from California Kamala Harris and Dianne Feinstein weighing in on the attack. Kamala releasing a statement saying she was deeply concerned by the potential consequences of the president's order and apparent lack of coherent strategy moving forward. Feinstein saying it has become evident to her that the action was a mistake. The airstrike was eventually followed by an Iranian attack on U.S. facilities in Iraq on Tuesday. No Americans were killed in the attack, and officials say the damage was minimal.
All of our soldiers are safe.
And now, talk of de-escalation. Trump saying this morning that Iran now appears to be standing down. Feinstein saying this morning that she's pleased to see that both the United States and Iran are looking to avoid further escalation, and she doesn't believe either nation seeks open conflict. Harris has not yet publicly addressed the news of a potential stand-down. When asked why many Democrats in Congress condemned the killing of Soleimani, McCarthy had a simple answer.
Maybe they were too focused on impeachment to see what was happening, what Iran was doing to America throughout the world.
Now, we also received a statement from Representative T.J. Cox. He says the recent events in Iraq have inflamed an already volatile situation. The administration needs to provide a clear plan for de-escalation. We're working with Congress to protect our national security and allies. So far, the White House has failed to do either. Cox is co-sponsoring a resolution being voted on tomorrow that he says would reaffirm Congress's constitutional duty to authorize military action. For now in the studio, Austin Westfall, 23 ABC, connecting you.
All right, Austin, thanks. Well, tonight new legislation is being introduced aimed at helping make sure pregnant correctional officers have a safe space to work. Today, Assemblymember Rudy Salas introduced Assembly Bill 1906 to provide reasonable working accommodations for all pregnant correctional officers. Salas introduced the legislation after former correctional officer Sarah Kugel from Tehachapi sued the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, alleging she was denied the opportunity to take a light-duty assignment while pregnant. She subsequently fell while responding to a fight between two inmates, leading to the loss of her unborn child. A Kern County Superior Court judge ruled in her favor and awarded damages to her. A class action lawsuit was also filed in the Los Angeles Superior Court on behalf of 6 women who were denied common accommodations while they were pregnant. Salas says this new bill will provide critical protections for pregnant correctional officers in the workplace. The city of Bakersfield continues to wrestle with the homeless crisis here at home. Last night, the city hosted its 3rd and final community outreach meeting to discuss locations on a new low-barrier shelter. Tonight, City Council is expected to discuss affordable housing funding made available through AB 101, signed by Governor Gavin Newsom last July. 23 ABC's Josh Sanders joins us live downtown with what City Council is considering. Josh?
Good evening, Jessica. The topic of homelessness is complicated, and we've seen a steady rise of people on the streets here in Bakersfield over the last 2 years. Now, everyone agrees there's a problem. Here's the thing, though. They don't agree on the solution to that problem. Now, you mentioned AB 101. The Governor Gavin Newsom signed that bill back in July. The bill authorizes homeless housing assistance and prevention program funds, which is a $650 million block grant designed to help support homelessness challenges throughout the state. Now, funding is based on the city's proportionate share of the overall total homelessness population, which is close to 130,000 in the state of California, according to the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness. As such, the city of Bakersfield is eligible to apply for an estimated $3.3 million. Those funds go towards programming such as rental assistance and rehousing, operating costs associated with rehousing, and emergency shelters, which has been a hot topic issue for us lately, and other services. Now, remember, City Council is scheduled to move forward later this month with a site for a new low-barrier homeless shelter following those spirited and sometimes heated discussions on the city's 2 proposed locations. That's Calcott and Brown. Now, I did speak with Councilmember Andre Gonzalez just before this hit, and he said 2 things which were interesting. One, they're seeing a greater return when it comes to that Measure N funding. That's good news, he says. He also says City Council, as of now, is looking to go forward when it comes to getting this $3.3 million from that bill that Governor Gavin Newsom signed. And the good news there is that's a surplus of money. So we'll have more coming up at 11 as to what City Council does. For now, in downtown Bakersfield, Josh Sanders, 23 ABC, connecting you.
Bakersfield officials say registration for a homeless point-in-time count is now closed. The initiative, scheduled for January 22nd, was seeking 500 volunteers to count as many sheltered and unsheltered homeless individuals in Kern County as possible. 23 ABC's Bayan Wang has been following this development and joins us in studio with more. Bayan?
Jessica, good evening. That's right. Registration is closed and officials are expecting the biggest turnout of volunteers this initiative has ever experienced. Over 500 are expected to survey the streets, and this is a very important development, especially when considering what Bakersfield City Manager Alan Tandy said on Tuesday, that he believes the lack of volunteers in previous counts may have resulted in possible inaccurate results of the homeless count in our community. Officials say this year's count is the most vital one so far in the midst of our homeless crisis.
This is, in my opinion, the most critical thing we will do in 2020 is get the accuracy of this count.
A sudden spike of the unsheltered homeless population in Kern County may have resulted from an undercount in the years prior due to a lack of volunteers, according to city officials.
Has individuals ever come to you during the point-in-time count?
I haven't. Not that I remember, no.
In years past, Alan was talking about that we probably didn't have enough volunteers and we didn't have enough of an accurate grasp on what this problem actually looks like.
If this were the case, could resources like the rapid response and biohazard teams have been available sooner?
That's possible. We didn't have, obviously, the Measure N funding until last year, but maybe that gets started sooner because we have a better grasp on that. But again, homelessness wasn't the only issue being addressed by PSVS.
The point-in-time count has several implications towards federal aid local governments receive to address homelessness.
The point-in-time count is essential for our local community as it relates to receiving federal dollars, from HUD. in order to provide support services and shelter and affordable housing dollars.
Volunteers like Ian Sharples are already looking forward to the count.
It's a real life-changing event. I think it's something that I don't regret it for 1 second. It's actually something I look forward to every year.
And so far, there have been various training sessions in other parts of Kern County, but right here in Bakersfield, the first training is being held next Wednesday at the Mission at Kern County at 9 a.m. For now, live in studio, Bayan Wang, 23 ABC, connecting you.
Reduced visibility has been the story, not only here in the valley, but also in the mountains throughout the day. So we did see a bit of that mist here in the valley, but you can see that is clearing out. But that gray color that you are seeing is very low hanging clouds and reduced visibility, mainly in the Tehachapi Mountains, as well as down near the Fort Tejon region. So CHP tweeted this photo out, and this is heading up the Grapevine. You can see that patchy fog. They are seeing visibility down to 150 feet. So just keep in mind that means vehicles should be driving at around 35 miles per hour and those large trucks at around 29. So make sure that that is something that you keep in mind if you're planning on heading out well tomorrow, because this is what we are seeing in Pine Mountain Club as of right now, and this is only going to continue overnight. So in the Tehachapi area, we are tracking a freezing fog advisory. That means the road as well as your car could be getting some ice. We are tracking the chance for that black ice in this area. So make sure that you are driving especially slow for your commute in the morning. Something that we have been tracking, though, are strong winds, especially through the mountains and down into our desert. Some of the strongest gusts at 66 miles per hour. I'll let you know what these strong winds mean for air quality tomorrow and when we are tracking our next chance of rain coming up next.
Today, the judge announced new details to the courtroom. Detectives failed to submit witness interviews into evidence prior to the Leslie Chance trial today. 23 ABC's Alex Bell has more details on what jurors were told in court today.
Court was expected to resume around 9 a.m. today. However, the jury and the public were not allowed into the courtroom until after 11 a.m. Now, the judge started off the day by informing the jury that detectives failed to enter 2 witness interviews into evidence prior to the trial. One of those lead detectives was Kevin Brewer. Now, we do want to remind our viewers that the footage that you guys see is file footage because cameras are not allowed inside of the courtroom for the trial. The judge stated on Wednesday that Kern County Sheriff's detectives didn't inform attorneys about 2 interviews they conducted and recorded with 2 different witnesses back in 2013. The judge also telling the jury they may consider the failure of detectives to turn over the evidence prior to trial. California law requires that both the defense and prosecution submit all evidence prior to trial. Defense attorney Tony Lidgett called lead investigator Brewer to the stand. Detective Brewer testified he failed to create a report or book an interview with a witness named Lori Aragon into evidence back in September of 2013. Brewer acknowledged on the witness stand that he would be the one responsible to make sure the reports were completed in the case, and that the other detective he was with that day must have forgotten to write the report. Brewer also acknowledged that yesterday he told the judge he didn't know who Aragon was and that he's been called for several cases and cannot remember everyone he's spoken to. Aragon, a former assistant superintendent of Greenfield Unified School District, testified she's known Chance for about 25 years. In the recorded interview with detectives, the jury heard Aragon repeatedly say she cannot identify the person in the surveillance videos. Videos the prosecution argues show Chance making her way back home the morning of Todd's death. Now, Aragon also testified that she felt detectives were feeding her information in an attempt to lead her to identify Leslie Chance in those surveillance videos. But for now, reporting from the Kern County Courthouse, I'm Alex Bell for 23 ABC News, connecting you.